students, myself is Dr. Peenal Shah. Today I am taking pneumonia. So today we will learn what is pneumonia, what are the types of pneumonia and what is the pathogenesis and morphological features. Pneumonia is defined as an acute inflammation of lung parenchyma distal to the terminal bronchioles, which consist of respiratory bronchioles, alveolar ducts, alveolar sacs and alveoli. So it will include respiratory bronchioles, ducts and alveoli. Second term is a consolidation. The consolidation is a term which is used for gross and radiological appearance of lung in pneumonia. Now coming to the pathogenesis. These microbial pathogens enter into the lung by most common route is the inhalation of microorganism into the lower airways. Second is a hematogenous shedding from extrapulmonary focus. Third is the aspiration of oropharyngeal content, and the fourth is a direct extension from the mediastinum or any subphrenic abscess. So there are so many normal mechanisms. So normal lung have so many protective mechanisms to protect from the microbes. Like in the alveoli, alveolar macrophages, this mucosa have a layer of mucus, mucociliary apparatus, nose will have a hair, and cough reflex. But still the pneumonia can result whenever this defense mechanism are impaired or whenever the resistance of the host is lowered. Now which are the predisposing factor which leads to pneumonia? First is the altered consciousness. If suppose patient is having a long-standing bad written condition or in coma, they would have a chances of aspiration of gastric content and that will lead to aspiration pneumonia. Second is a depressed cough or glottic reflex. Usually it occurs when the patient is having any thoracic surgery or any neuromuscular disorder which leads to depressed cough and glottic reflex and leads to aspiration pneumonia. Third is a impairment of mucociliary transport. So whenever there is a environmental pollution or smoking which will impair the mucociliary function and it will lead to pneumonia. Fourth is the impaired alveolar macrophage function. It also because of this smoking and environmental pollutant. Fifth is the endobronchial obstruction because of any foreign body or tumor and that will block the pathway of air and leads to pneumonia. The last one is when the patient is immunocompromised. Now coming to the classification of pneumonia. Pneumonia is classified into two ways. First is the anatomical location according to its anatomical involvement and second is according to its etiology. So according to anatomical involvement, pneumonia is divided into lobar pneumonia, bronchopneumonia and interstitial pneumonia. And according to etiology, it is divided into bacterial pneumonia, viral pneumonia or pneumonia due to other etiologies. The second term is a pneumonia, how it is acquired. So how it happens to the patient. So whenever there is a person is sitting at home or in normal condition and he or she would have a pneumonia, it is called a community acquired pneumonia. And second, when the person is hospitalized, like person is in hospital and in ventilator for some other reason, and then he develops a secondary pneumonia, that is called a hospital-acquired pneumonia. This photograph shows the various type of pneumonia. We can see there is a lobar pneumonia in which there is a one lobe is involved. Then second one is a bronchopneumonia in which the bronchi are involved and surrounding alveoli are involved. And third is a viral pneumonia in which the interstitium of lung parenchyma is involved. Now we are starting with bacterial pneumonia. There are mainly two gross pattern of anatomical distribution is seen in case of bacterial pneumonia. One is a lobar pneumonia and another is a lobular pneumonia. So what is lobar pneumonia? It is an acute bacterial infection of a part of lobe of one or both lung or the entire lobe. And it is a fibrinosuppurative consolidation of a large portion of lobe or an entire lobe. And second is a lobular pneumonia, in which acute bacterial infection of terminal bronchioles and which involve the adjacent alveoli and patchy consolidation of lung. So this is a bronchopneumonia, in which we can see this is a patchy involvement of lung, more than one lobe is involved. And second one, this is a lobar pneumonia, in which there is a one lobe of lung is involved. So lobar pneumonia. What is the main etiology of lobar pneumonia? It is 90 to 95% caused by a pneumococci, and it is a usually community acquired type of pneumonia. And most common type are 1, 3, 7, 2, among which the type 3 is the most virulent. It might be occasionally due to Klebsiella, Staphylococci, Streptococci and other gram-negative organisms. Now coming to how the pathogenesis, how this pneumonia will develop. So most common entry is via inhalation of aerosols. So the bacteria will enter into the person by a mode of inhalation. First it will colonize into the nasopharynx. If the virulence is low and person immunity is very good, it will not lead to pneumonia. But if the organism is of high virulence and person is having a low immunity, it will go into the lower respiratory tract. In the lower respiratory tract, it will go into the alveoli. In alveoli, it will involve the pneumocyte, mainly type 2 pneumocyte, and they will multiply inside the alveoli. So they will start multiply inside the alveoli, one alveoli is involved, then through the pores of cone, it will involve the adjacent alveoli. Because the multiple alveoli are involved, the inflammatory response will be initiated. So which are the main cells in the lung for inflammation? Yes, it is an alveolar macrophage. So alveolar macrophage will come and try to fight against them. So it will secrete various cytokines to generate the inflammatory response. And various cytokines are secreted. So it is followed by the all events of inflammation, which include the vasoconstriction of the vessels, and there is a phagocytosis of the neutrophil toward the sites of the infection. So the neutrophil and RBC will come into this lung. Now coming to the morphology, lobar pneumonia, as its name suggests, it consists of the fibrosuppurative consolidation of lobe or a large area of the lung. Sometimes it might have a bilateral involvement. The lower lobes are commonly affected and it follows the all basic pattern of inflammation. So initially it begins with serous exudation, then followed by fibrinous cellular exudation and ultimately resolution. So it will go into the 4 sequential staging. The first is a stage of congestion. So what is a congestion? It is an acute inflammatory response to developing bacterial infection, and it will last for usually 1 day. Grossly, the lungs are large, heavy, red, soft and moist. On cut surface, the involved area are not well defined and frothy fluid can be expressed. When we press the lung, there is a frothy fluid will come out. On histological examination, there is a dilation and congestion of the capillaries in alveolar walls and intraalveolar fluid with few neutrophils and often the presence of numerous bacteria. The second is a stage of red hepatization, which will last for 2 to 4 days. Grossly, the lungs are red, firm and airless. Normally, the lungs are airy, so they would have a soft consistency. But now they are become airless because of this inflammation. So they would have a firm consistency just like a liver. So the term hepatization is used. So it is known as a red hepatization. On histological examination, the edema fluid is replaced by now fibrin strands. There is a marked cellular exudation of neutrophils and RBCs. And now this neutrophil, they will engulf this ingested bacteria. And the septa will be less prominent. This photograph shows the stage of red hepatization, in which we can see these alveoli are filled with a cellular exudate mainly composed of neutrophils and some RBC. Third is a stage of gray hepatization which will last for 4 to 8 days, in which the lungs are firm, heavy. Now the change in color. Initially the color was red. Now the color will be grayish brown and having a dry surface. But the consistency is same, firm, just like a liver. So it is a stage of gray hepatization. And in this stage, the fibrous pleurisy is prominent. On histological examination, these fibrin strands are prominent. Cellular exudate of neutrophils now become reduced because of the disintegration of these inflammatory cells. Very few RBC, and now the macrophage will come to clear all this exudate. This exudate is separated from the septa by a clear space, and organisms are less and degenerated. This photograph shows the stage of gray hepatization. So this is a photograph which shows the stage of gray hepatization, in which we can see this exudate is separated from the septa by a clear space, and this exudate mainly consisting of disintegrated neutrophils and few macrophages. Last is a stage of resolution. It begins on the 8th or 9th day if no therapy is given, and usually completed within 1 to 3 weeks. What happens now? This all exudate in alveolar space will undergo enzymatic digestion, and it produces a granular semi-fluid debris. Usually it is reabsorbed by macrophages, or either it is coughed up by the person, and maybe it is organized by a fibroblast. If all favorable circumstances occurs, then normal lung parenchyma will be restored. Grossly, the lungs are red or dirty brown, and frothy yellowish creamy fluid will be expressed. On histological examination, the macrophage are the predominant cells. All inflammatory debris is cleared, and now alveolar capillaries are engorged. So this is all 4 stages of lobar pneumonia. This is a stage of congestion in which we can see the lung is red and congested. On histologically, this intraalveolar edematous fluid with large number of bacteria and very few neutrophils, and alveolar septa are congested. Second is a stage of red hepatization, in which we can see the lungs are red, heavy, and having a liver-like consistency, firm consistency. On histological examination, these alveoli are filled with large number of neutrophils and RBC. The third is a stage of gray hepatization, in which the lungs are grossly grayish in color with a firm consistency. On histological examination, neutrophilic debris with macrophage will be seen, and this exudate will be separated from the alveoli by a clear space. And the last one is a stage of resolution, in almost lung is appearing to normal grossly. The neutrophils are disappeared, and macrophage are the predominant cells along with the congested alveolar capillaries in alveolar septi. If person is take a proper antibiotic, usually it is resolved, and the stage will be completed in 3 to 4 days. If he or she is not taking antibiotic or immunosuppress, it might complicate into certain complication. The most common complication occurs with a pneumonia is a abscess formation. Because of the large area of tissue destruction and necrosis, there is abscess formation. Second is infection is spread into the pleura. The pleura is overlying the lung, so infection will spread into the pleura. So that condition is known as a empyema. Third is the organization of exudate. The exudate will be organized and may convert the portion of lung into the solid tissue. So ultimately that area would be airless. And the fourth is it involves the surrounding structures like bacterial dissemination into heart valve, pericardium, brain, kidney, spleen, joints, and causing the meningitis, endocarditis or arthritis. The second category is a bronchopneumonia. So it is already explained, it has a patchy consolidation, it involves more than one lobe and often multilobar. It is usually bilateral and basal because tendency of secretion to go into the lower lobes. Usually 3 to 4 cm in diameter, slightly elevated, dry, granular, grey, red to yellow and poorly delimited at their margin. On histological examination, we can see a exudative neutrophil that fills the bronchi and bronchus, and surrounding alveoli will be involved. So this is a photograph of the bronchopneumonia, which shows this bronchi is filled with a cellular exudate and surrounding alveoli are involved. So now again summarizing the difference between lobar pneumonia and bronchopneumonia. So lobar pneumonia is usually occur in the adult, while bronchopneumonia is seen in extremes of ages, means it is seen in the children's and old age person. In lobar pneumonia grossly, the whole one lobe is involved, while in case of bronchopneumonia there is a patchy distribution and more than one lobe is involved. The color of gross appearance of lobar pneumonia depends upon the which stage it is, while in case of bronchopneumonia it shows shades from red to grey. Cut surface is uniform, dry, granular, and fibrin can be scraped off in case of lobar pneumonia, while cut surface is moist in case of bronchopneumonia. Overlying pleura is always involved and covered with a fibrin or sometimes pus in case of lobar pneumonia, and adjacent pleura is occasionally involved and may contain fibrin in case of bronchopneumonia. So this is a picture of bronchopneumonia in which we can see there is a multiple patchy distribution of pneumonic patches, and usually small in diameter, 3 to 4 centimeter in diameter. And this is a picture of lobar pneumonia in which we can see the whole one lobe is involved. Now the bacterial pneumonia is over. So whenever the person is having a fever, cough, chest pain, in all bacterial cultures are negative, he or she might have a pneumonia, could be of other etiology, and the most second common type is a viral pneumonia or atypical pneumonia. It is an acute febrile respiratory disease which leads to patchy inflammatory changes in the lung and confined to alveolar septa and interstitium. Why we called it as an atypical? Because this viral pneumonia, they will lack alveolar exudate. As I have explained, the bacterial pneumonia, we will see the alveoli are filled with the exudative material, while this exudate is absent in case of viral pneumonia. So this is a term atypical is used, in which there is only and only interstitial inflammation. So what is the etiology of this atypical pneumonia? It is caused by a mycoplasma, chlamydia, coxiella, and so many viruses. Most common are respiratory syncytial virus, influenza virus, parainfluenza virus, adenovirus, SARS virus, and yes, now we are having a pandemic of coronavirus. So coronavirus will also lead to this viral pneumonia. While in case of bacterial pneumonia, it is caused by streptococcal pneumonia or any other bacteria. Morphology. All these agents will produce a similarly same morphological features. Grossly, the pneumonia would have a patchy or lobar involvement of whole lobe, either unilateral or bilateral. This affected area are red, blue, congested and subcrepited. On cut surface, there is a frothy fluid will come out, but the pleura is not involved. Histology depends upon the severity of the disease. The main pattern which we see in the viral pneumonia is an interstitial inflammation. Interstitium means alveolar septa are become widened and edematous, and they are infiltrated by a mononuclear inflammatory cells which consisting of lymphocyte, histiocyte and plasma cell. There is a no neutrophilic intraalveolar exudate formation, only and only interstitial inflammation. The second thing which can be seen is a necrotizing bronchiolitis. So necrosis of the bronchiolar epithelium and mucus secretion within the lumina. Third is the reactive changes of virus induced may be seen in case of lining epithelial cells, and certain virus will show a viral inclusions. And alveoli usually contain a edema fluid, and sometimes they are maybe coated by a hyaline membrane in case of viral pneumonia. If there is a secondary bacterial infection, alveoli are filled with a pus. So this is a photograph of viral pneumonia in which we can see these alveoli, they are clear, which are actually filled in case of bacterial pneumonia. So what is the main feature of viral pneumonia is a interstitial pneumonitis. We can see these septa, alveolar septa are widened and they are infiltrated by a mononuclear cells predominantly consisting of lymphocyte and plasma cells. Now coming to the third category, the pneumonia is caused by other etiologies. The one is a pneumocystic carinii pneumonia. Pneumocystic carinii is a protozoan that produces no disease in normal individual, but it causes severe pneumonia in case of patients with AIDS or a immunocompromised status. So when the person is having a HIV infection, this secondary opportunistic infection by this organism occurs in case of HIV. Morphology, it produces a diffuse or patchy pneumonia and affected lungs are consolidated, dry and grey. On histological examination, this alveolar space are filled by a foamy amorphous material which resembles a proteinaceous edema fluid and it contains a proliferating cyst of pneumocystic carinii and cell debris. Second, this is not a bacterial pneumonia, so it would also have an interstitial pneumonitis like thickening and mononuclear infiltration in alveolar wall. No exudate in alveoli. So, features of bacterial pneumonia are absent. So, this photograph shows this alveoli filled with a pink proteinaceous fluid. So, this is filled with a pink proteinaceous fluid and alveolar septa are widened and contain a mononuclear cell infiltration. So, how it is confirmed? How it is confirmed whether it is a pneumonia because of pneumocystic carinii? So, it is usually confirmed by a special stains. They are Gomori methenamine silver, Chimsa or tall blue stains. If we apply this special stain in this smear, it will demonstrate cup-shaped or boat-shaped cyst in this fluid of pneumocystic carinii. The second is a Legionella pneumonia. Legionella is an organism that flourish into artificial aquatic environment like water cooling system, tubing system of domestic water supplies. Usual mode of contamination is inhalation of aerosolized organism. So inhalation of organism and second is aspiration of the contaminated drinking water. It is also common in patients of immunodeficiency and organ transplant recipient. Third is aspiration pneumonia, usually occurs in case of unconscious patients or patients with a prolonged bed rest. They have a lack of ability to swallow or gag reflex. So usually the aspiration of gastric content will occur. The most commonly involved are posterior lobes and most commonly involve the superior segment of the lower lobe. And it usually leads to abscess formation. Fourth is a lipid pneumonia. It is occasionally caused by consolidation of lung because of obstructive lesions or rarely due to aspiration of mineral oils and histologically predominantly contains lipid-laden macrophages. The most important category is a nosocomial pneumonia. It is acquired in the hospitals, also called a hospital-acquired pneumonia. When the person is hospitalized, debilitated, he is on ventilator or catheter. Suppose person is having a heart attack and he is admitted in MICU and he is on ventilator. Then if he secondary develops a pneumonia because of hospital organism, this hospital organism will proliferate in this ventilators, catheters. So it is called nosocomial pneumonia and most common organism are Enterobacteria, Pseudomonas aeruginosa and methicillin-resistant Staph aureus. While in case of community-acquired pneumonia, the commonest organism is a pneumococci. The last category is a healthcare-associated pneumonia. It is a recently described clinical entity. The risk factors are hospitalization of at least 2 days within recent past, presentation from a nursing home or long-term care facility, attending hospital or hemodialysis clinic, or recent IV therapy or wound care. And most common organism in this also is a methicillin-resistant Staph aureus or Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Usually the pneumonia patient clinically present as a high-grade fever, chest pain, cough with expectoration, and on clinical examination they would have a tachycardia and tachypnea. And diagnosis of pneumonia is done by a chest x-ray or HRCT of a lung and sputum and blood culture. And while in case of viral pneumonia, it is usually diagnosed by doing a PCR. So I am concluding my lecture. The streptococcal pneumonia is the most common cause of community acquired pneumonia, and there are two main gross morphological pattern of community acquired pneumonia. One is a lobar pneumonia in which the lobe is involved. Another is a bronchopneumonia in which the lobular involvement, patchy involvement. The lobar pneumonia will occur in adult patient and bronchopneumonia seen in extremes of ages like in pediatric patient and in old age patient. Bacterial pneumonia predominantly have a exudative inflammation. In case of bacterial pneumonia, these alveoli are filled with a intra-alveolar exudate. And atypical pneumonia is caused by viruses, mycoplasma or chlamydia, and they would have an interstitial inflammation. There is no alveolar exudate occurs in case of viral pneumonia. Thank you.